Good day, everyone. So I ordered this a while ago. I pre-ordered it and I totally forgot about it. And then one day I got an email saying this thing came in. So what do you know? So I tried to do a search for the 1982 Skyline Silhouette. Couldn't really find anything on the specs, but the Nissan Global website has the 1983 and mentions that this is the same car from 1982, only the nose is different. So I think underneath that bodywork is the same chassis and all that stuff. It is saying it has a 4-cylinder inline engine. I thought this thing would have a 6-cylinder, being a Skyline, but no, it's a 4-cylinder, and I believe it's twin turbocharged, according to, well, it doesn't say twin here, but a different Wikipedia said it was twin turbocharged. Anyways, this little 4-cylinder is making around 570 PS. That's pretty impressive. This is only a 2-liter engine, so that's pretty impressive indeed. Anyways, you can read that text, obviously. Okay, so let's look into the actual diecast model here. Let me move this camera up a little bit since this box is a little bit large. Alright, so there's the cover. There's a little window reveal. This is too much text for Google Translate to handle. So I tried it, and all I could do is like translate that red line, and then I gave up. Alright, I'm not sure if they could have packaged this in a smaller package or not. I think they did this because they didn't want this scratching up the paint of that. Oh well. Okay, on the back we have some information here. I don't know who this is. This is Hassemi himself. Maybe. Or maybe it's the engineering leader for the... I don't know who that is. I can't translate. There's an antenna one would have to install here. One interesting thing about TLV is they never tape their boxes or seal them, because I think they actually expect the consumers to inspect their models before they purchase them, which is nice. I like that. So a little wrapper to protect it from the bubble vibrations and scratching. And then here's this antenna, which I shall probably put on it later on. I will put it on, but let's handle the car first before we mess with that. Just put that there. So the 1982 has this horizontal grille, whereas that Nissan website, I guess in 1983, they put it on a flatter face for aerodynamic reasons. And then this 82 has these mesh wheels, but the 83 has the cool, like, vented wheels, as you saw in that Nissan webpage. There aren't too many photos of this car from 1982. These are the only 3 a respectable size I could find. You gotta love that side pipe just igniting the, trying to light the track on fire. Alright, boy, let's see. Trying to get some better light. I'm wondering if we should maybe look at it. Let's look at the engine first. Let's do that. Well, since I didn't know it was a 4-cylinder, in this case, by collecting this model, you would probably realize it is a 4-cylinder, right? And it does say you'd also realize it's turboed, but in this case, it is single turbocharged. So Wikipedia is wrong. Yeah, that's a single turbo. Right? If you don't understand how turbos work, the exhaust gases are driving a wheel, and on the other side of the wheel is an impeller fan, and that's what's sucking in air to force induction, which is a fancy word. It's basically compressing more air into it so you can dump more fuel into it, making more power. Alright, well, we got some nice little paint apps here on the shock tops here. And does this actually have suspension? What's going on here? It's still black, those shocks. I don't know if those are real springs. No, I think they're just molded plastic to look like coilovers. Yeah, there's no suspension. You can also see it's running slick tires, which makes sense for a race car. There's some brake ducts. That's kind of neat. There's one going into the front, and where's that second one? Interesting. So this brake duct is going to the front and the back of the rotor. Alright, yeah, some nice little colors, I guess. So if you like engines, you know, this might be up your alley. I'm a little torn. I don't know if this is a great engine or not. I mean, it's got some details, but you know a real engine bay would be more full of stuff. And also, you just have this axle just running through. So I kind of feel like this scale doesn't make sense to try to mimic engines. It's just, I feel it's unnecessary. What I guess is kind of neat though is you can see this exhaust pipe running out to the side, and then they carried over the paint of this molding here, so that's the side pipe, so that's cool. And then we have two rivets here in the middle, one in the back, and then a screw in the front. So I guess that screw is holding down all this plastic of the engine, but you still have to, you'd have to drill it apart if you want to, say, modify the interior or something. Although on a race car, I don't see a real need to do that. Okay, well, this front wheel here is, you know, mimicking the black, I don't know, disc, I guess, disc cover of this real car. And then we have this gold printed mesh pattern on this surface here for the rear wheel. I don't know if it's a cover. Maybe this is just a cover on a real wheel, and then these are the vents. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell on that photograph. Maybe, I'm thinking it actually isn't a mesh wheel. I think this might be a graphic on the real car. What is a little odd is the general lack of the gold right here. I don't know why TLV would have done that. Like, maybe the air valve, but it still would have an extra set of stripes there, right? They purposely chose to do this. I don't know why. If you look at the side photograph, you just don't see that much black showing. In fact, you'd see a lot more of these gold spokes. So strange decisions very often from this company, and actually a lot of companies actually. Alright, well, we saw the engine, so I'm going to put this cover hood back on. If you're curious, they did paint the bottom of it black, and then you see some melt marks for the headlights and the grille, and they actually press fit this chin lip on. So it's obviously a separate piece. This whole bumper actually is a separate piece of plastic, it seems. And then we have, you know, the tampo printing, which is nice. That's one thing about TLV that's good. They don't use any decals, to my experience, or to my recollection. Everything's paint, so this should stay looking pretty nice, as long as the paint looks nice. But decal, not a good thing. Alright, a really fine grill pattern here. They're the horizontal grills. I'm going to assume these are some cooling vents or something. Ah, boy. So another weird decision is just the flatness behind this clear lens. They could have easily molded some circles there to make it look more realistic, but they just chose not to. I feel like that's really lazy on their part. It wouldn't have cost any extra money. It would have taken maybe 2 minutes of extra CAD time to do that work. So it's laziness, really. Alright, well, you got some real vents right here, you can see. Yeah. Then you got some hood vents here. Unfortunately, there's no black paint there. Laziness again. Okay, these little fins on the hood look pretty nice. If you look at the general paint, I guess it's okay. It's not the greatest though. I'm being critical because this is the cost of a resin model, and it's just simply not as good as any resin model. So that's the problem with TLV. They're generally overpriced. Actually, they are overpriced. I don't think there's any one that's a good bargain. And then I'm trying to get this hood on really tight. It's clearly there's no like index, so I guess it just sits like that. I'm trying to push it back. Because look at this gap. It's really unsightly. It's quite bad. But I can't seem to force it any tighter. When it just rests, you can clearly see. I mean, that would be a huge gap in the real world. If you multiplied that by 64, it would be like that wide, and I just don't see that happening on the real car. So, yeah, this is again why I don't like moving parts, opening panels, because it leads to these problems. You're just trying to make a 1/18 scale out of a 164, and it just doesn't work. That's just, yeah, even when I let go, it just gets worse. So when you display it, that's what it's gonna look like. Yeah, so that's kind of unsightly. Alright, so I guess that's the whole front end. Let's continue on the side here by the door. The door handle is pretty nice. It's sticking out, painted silver, some recesses for the fingers there. The mirror is a separate piece, and you don't have to put it on yourself, so that's nice. There's no reflectivity though, so again, laziness for the cost of this. Silver paint here for this chrome work or whatnot. This is raised, this molding, painted black for the window molding there. There's a, well, that's kind of cool. It's actually, this is recessed, hold on. Not much, but it's better than nothing. You know, a little bit of a recess. And it's black back there, so that's good. So that's nice. That's actually unexpected. If you look at, you know, the NSX and a few other cars, the Ferraris by this brand, they're too lazy to put paint into the vent area. So I'm actually quite surprised that they chose to do it here, and I'm glad that they did. Alright, we talked about the rear wheel and its graphic being a little bit odd, but I gotta say I like the rest of the molding itself. The 5 lug nuts, the centers, yeah, so it's nicely molded. The tires are nice, they're not slab sided, they look like they don't, you know, they have balloons of air in there. Going to the rear area, well, this wing area has some rivet marks, so that's kind of neat, nice detail. And then we have a grille. And it is textured, so that's a pretty fine grille texture, that's good. And then the taillights are much better than the headlights, you see, because there's a molded circle in this clear part I'm touching, and then this paint out here for the turn signal, and then there's red behind it. So they did a good job on the rear lights. I just don't understand the laziness of the front lights. They could have easily molded this circle right there to make it look like the real car. It's weird, really weird. Okay, nice little printing detail there. Extra touch there. There's also printing here in a more logical location. And then on the top we have Hassemi. He is the driver, and now he owns race teams and all that. There's a wiper blade here, part of the window molding. That squarish hole for the antenna. So I guess that's smart, so the antenna can't bend and twist to some random degree. There's a hatch here. I'm gonna guess maybe that's for a fuel filler. There's some silver dots, maybe for some quick release pins. This side, basically there's no exhaust, otherwise it probably is the same as the other side. And the red, it's doing a good job covering up the casting, so that's good. Red usually has a hard time doing that. So the interior, this thing's going to fall off, so I'm going to take it off. What's nice about the interior is it's got multiple colors. Get my fingerprint off there. And then because it's silver, all the light is reflecting around in there. You don't need a flashlight to see it. What is that giant tank there, I wonder? Would that be the fuel for weight distribution? But I don't know. And then maybe a fire extinguisher system or something like that. And then some sort of telemetry and other control boxes. Steering wheel is really nice, you know, it's hollowed. It's not a pizza pie like a Hot Wheels. And then probably some molded details in that little binnacle, but no color. And then the red of the racing seat is nice, and there's also a harness. I'm trying to get some better light in there. So yeah, nice details. Hopefully you can see them. I'm looking through my mobile phone screen, so it's actually hard for me to see what's going on. But if you're using a big laptop or TV, you have a better view than I do. Okay, so that's a great interior. The roll cage is pretty nice as well. The bars aren't super thick. They look proportional to a roll cage of a real race car. So the door panels are also white or silver, and they have some details as well. You know, they look like a gutted door panel. So that's actually a really nice interior. Yeah, very nice. No complaints at all. This antenna. Let's get a set of snippers. Let's see if it's a friction fit or some glue is necessary. I feel like it would have been nice if they gave you two antennas. It's not like that plastic costs a lot of money. Right. give 5 antennas. If you're gonna go through the trouble of molding an antenna, give people a bunch, because I'm pretty sure if you drop this model, that's definitely gonna break. So hold it this way. Yeah, you're gonna need glue. That's very loose. So I like to just use school glue and put it in this little bottle with the little tip you can buy on AliExpress or eBay. And of course the glue is dry. Nope, no, it's coming out. The good thing about school glue is, you know, if you mess up, you can just soak it with water and it'll go away. Crazy glue though, that's not going away. Alright, so just enough glue to keep that thing from falling out. Alright, let's look at a few other Skylines. So Kyosho has this road-going version of a KDR30, but it's the updated one with like this bullish nose here, not a bunch of grill lines. But pretty good, you know, clear headlights and taillights and all that stuff. And this one has some extra printing for a license plate. So, being a silhouette racer is taking the silhouette of the roof and then slapping on a bunch of extra panels. But you can clearly see the side windows and the frame up top. The greenhouse is pretty much the same. Okay. And then this is a pretty early purchase of mine. So this is a freebie that came with some cans of coffee in Japan. UCC Coffee is the brand of coffee. I had to buy this myself though. But considering this was free to somebody, this is really nice. I mean, it's diecast and it's got a plastic base and it rolls. It actually is screwed together. So yeah, I thought that was an expensive thing to do, screwing together models, but now I'm thinking quite the opposite if this was free. And then there's no decals. This is all Tampo paint, so it's clearly lacking in details next to the TLV. But free versus 50 bucks or so, right? So it's not bad when you factor that in. It's got some funky wheels too. Okay. Let's see, another set of Skyline silhouettes by Kyosho. We have these more modern Calisonic racing ones. They are a bit different, each one of them. And then I think the most modern one there is a 2008 Super GT by Kyosho. So these are R34s and an R35. Get a higher angle here for you. I'm going to move these guys out and just show a couple other Nissan silhouettes. So Kyosho made some 350Zs. And then one of my favorites is this Liberty Walk Sylvia. And this is by Aoshima, part of their Grachan collection. I believe this would actually have been the same Sylvia from this era, the 1980s, just looking at the square headlights of the thing. Okay, let's get this TLV spinning on its own. So you can see the more modern Nissan again. It's got these really cool vented turbine-ish wheels, but the front end is quite different now for aerodynamics again. I think the rest of it is generally the same. Alright, well, you've heard my complaints. That is part of my life, to be an old man that complains and tell people to get off my lawn, although I don't actually have a lawn. And so if you love Skylines, you know, you might want to pick this one up. If you like interior details, engine details, this is right up your alley. For me, I just really like the interior and the exterior. I feel like the hood is just unnecessary. If they could make a cheaper model, that'd be even better. I'm not going to show you some resin models. I have an entire playlist of resins, and you could just look up a few of those videos and realize those things generally have a lot more details, like photo etched metal grills and photo etched metal wiper blades, reflectivity in the mirrors, disc brake systems, all that stuff. So that's where, again, the value of TLV is never good, but they do make really unique Japanese cars, so that's why I still continue to collect them. So I guess that's it for today. Another GTR enters the collection, and we'll see you the next time I get another GTR or Skyline. It's not a GTR today, just a Skyline. Alright, bye.